Alexa, what's the weather today? If you said that sentence in 1985, people would think you were crazy. Welcome to phrases we say every single day that would have sounded absolutely insane in the 1980s. 40 things that prove just how much the world has changed. If you remember the 80s, buckle up. Let's go. DoorDash? What's that? The 80s had pizza delivery, if you were lucky. The 80s had coffee, small, medium, large. What the heck is a venti? Who's Alexa? The 80s had windows, you looked outside. Siri? The 80s had paper maps. You figured it out. Pause live TV? You'd miss it. Bathroom breaks happened during commercials. Friend request? The 80s had actual conversations. You asked people to be friends. WhatsApp? The 80s had call me later on a phone attached to the wall. Venmo? The 80s had cash, or you wrote a check. Uber? The 80s had taxis, or you called your mom. Lost your phone? In the 80s, it was bolted to the wall. Battery? Your phone had a cord, it never died. Charger? Phones didn't need charging. They just existed. Apps? Update? The 80s had software on floppy disks, version 1.0 forever. AirDrop? The 80s had mail, or you handed someone a floppy disk. Bumble? The 80s had bars, or you met at school, in real life. LASIK? Laser eye surgery? The 80s had glasses, that's it. Counting steps? The 80s just called it walking. Nobody counted. Your watch tracks sleep? The 80s had alarm clocks. They woke you up. iPads? The 80s had textbooks. Heavy, paper textbooks. Google? The 80s had encyclopedias. You looked things up in books. Screenshot? The 80s had Polaroid cameras, or you wrote it down. Binge watch? The 80s had one episode per week. You waited. Netflix? The 80s had Blockbuster. You drove there and hoped they had it. Stream? The 80s had VHS tapes. You rewound them. Be kind, rewind. Download? Offline? The 80s had TV schedules. You watched when it aired. DM? The 80s had phone calls, or you passed notes in class. Instagram? Follow you? The 80s had photo albums you showed people. Tag? The 80s had names written on the back of photos. Your story? The 80s had conversations. You told people your story. GoFundMe? The 80s had bake sales, or you asked people directly. Uber Eats? The 80s had phone numbers you called and ordered. QR code? The 80s had menus, physical, paper menus you could touch. Someone else shops for you? The 80s had grocery stores, you went there. Mobile order? The 80s had lines, you waited in them. Ask who? The 80s had kitchen timers, you twisted them yourself. Alexa? Playlist? The 80s had mixtapes, you made them by hand. Klarna? Buy now, pay later? The 80s had layaway, you paid first, got it later. Cloud? The 80s had filing cabinets, and they never got full. This one almost existed by the late 90s, but in the 80s, no internet at all. Siri? The 80s had phone buttons, you push them with your fingers. But wait, there's more. Let's rapid fire through 10 more things that would have sounded absolutely bonkers in the 80s. Video doorbells? The 80s had peepholes. Smart thermostats? The 80s had dials on the wall. Talking fridges? The 80s had eyeballs. You looked inside. Swipe? The 80s had courage. You walked up and talked. Snapchat? The 80s had notes. They didn't disappear in 24 hours. Live? TikTok? The 80s had home videos. Nobody watched them. The cloud? The 80s had disks, floppy disks you could actually hold. Identity theft? Online? The 80s had wallets. You guarded them. Remote work? The 80s had offices. You drove there every single day. Wi-Fi? The 80s had patience and absolutely no clue what you meant. So what happened? How did we go from rotary phones to asking Alexa for the weather? From waiting for photos to develop to posting them instantly to billions of people? The 80s were the last decade before everything changed. Before the internet, before smartphones, before every single moment of our lives became digital. We had to wait for things. We had to find things. We had to remember things. And honestly, there was something beautiful about that. Don't get us wrong, technology is amazing. We love our smartphones, we love streaming, we love not getting lost with paper maps. But sometimes, don't you miss when life was just a little bit simpler? When you couldn't lose your phone because it was attached to the wall? When you actually talked to people instead of texting them? The 80s didn't have Alexa, but we had each other. We didn't have DoorDash, but we had dinner tables where everyone actually showed up. We can't go back. Time doesn't work that way, but we can remember, we can appreciate, and maybe, just maybe, we can put the phone down every once in a while and live like it's a 1985. Which phrase hit you the hardest? What would you add to this list? Drop it in the comments. We want to hear what you could never say in the 80s. If you remember the 80s, share this with someone who needs a reminder of simpler times. Thanks for taking this trip down memory lane with us. Now go call someone. Actually call them. On the phone. With your voice, the 80s would be proud.